Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Making Donuts with AJ and Aaron. Today with our donuts, we are going to be making a very scrumptious raisin and strudel.
AJ, that's totally the opposite of what our real podcast is about.
A donut podcast.
No.
We bake things, delicious
Here,
things.
Let me do it. I know how to do it. In a world where
Donuts.
all people, mainly males,
Eat donuts.
from the ages of 18 to 100, all have back pain. Two men stand alone to change this.
They make donuts to help ease your back pain.
Donuts cause back pain.
Donuts help you forget
All
all
right,
pain.
guys, the real intro is welcome. Wait, I got to get my normal way.
I took him clear out of it.
No, I can't do it.
I got
right?
this one. If you do
Yeah,
it.
go for it. I can't do it.
Guys, welcome on board for another episode of the Evil Safety Dudes. Aaron and I guiding you guys through OSHA and non-OSHA, but basically trying to tell you how not to die at work.
Yes, that's accurate.
I didn't mean to get you that thrown off.
That's
for
accurate.
For a class, or for not a class.
You know, once you
podcast.
get in your weird voice, sometimes it's hard to get out of it. Okay, so today's podcast is on ergonomics. Now, don't turn it off. You need to know about ergonomics.
Yeah, that's right. Please.
You know, ergonomics is cool.
I was so confused. Turn what off, Aaron?
Well, you know, I don't need to know anything about ergonomics. I already know how to lift right.
No ergonomics.
But
all I need is more strudel.
you know, ergonomics is cool, man, and we're going to get into how cool it is. Ergonomics is everything. Talk to a handgun manufacturer.
They'll tell you about
big
ergonomics.
into ergonomics,
Oh,
how
heck
that
yeah.
fit. It's got to, you know, as soon as you bring it up, it's got to just align them sights to your eyes. That's
Right.
ergonomics, you know.
Power
So,
tool manufacturers,
yeah,
closing.
Talk to
anybody who makes
a hitting
almost
coach
anything.
on a baseball team. He's going to work on your ergonomics.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to work on getting the most power with the least amount of injury and doing the least amount of damage to your body over time. A pitching coach,
Right.
looking at a guy throw
How
a
to
ball.
optimize effort.
Yeah, so ergonomics is cool, man. I don't know what you heard, but they lied to you.
Guys, he's got some faces today. Aaron's eyes just got huge.
We do get that complaint a lot that I need to see the podcast. Maybe one day we'll go to, you know, some
Like
types of
filming it?
Yeah.
That's just gonna require like more like actual setup and prep time, and
yeah.
I like when we can just plop in and be like, "What up? Here's
I
a
know, but
podcast," and
maybe
then we're
in
just
the
gone.
future, maybe once we hit 5 listeners.
I think we're at like 5. We need 20 listeners.
Okay.
We start setting reasonable goals.
All right. So, my partner in the podcast fort today at the IBC Training Center is the none other but the AJ Hanscom. He is an authorized outreach OSHA instructor, but more than that, today he's a bodybuilder.
All right,
And
we'll
so,
use it.
you know, he knows a lot about lifting and not hurting yourself.
I mean, I'm amateur at best, but you know, I do. I lift a lot of heavy weights. I try to focus on form. Definitely trying to make sure
When you
the human body
when you
is
deadlift,
yeah,
how much weight do you lift that night
like
on
total.
leg day? Yeah.
Well, leg day. So I use an app to record my total number of pounds lifted. On leg day, it's over 40,000 pounds a night.
Yeah, so you know about lifting without
I
getting
do. I
hurt.
lift, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm usually just fine. Like, I'll wake up the next day and people are like, wait, you were deadlifting 400 pounds last night? I'm like, well, yeah. And they're like, doesn't your back hurt?
And a million
No.
times, so it was ended up being 40,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you think about it. A human body can lift 40,000 pounds in a night.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem possible.
That's actually, that's not that bad of a leg day, actually.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
and then my partner here in the IBC fort is Aaron Iacino. He is also an authorized OSHA outreach instructor, but more than that, he is also a black belt in Krav Maga.
what does that
and
got
a-
to do with ergonomics?
What, dude? Think about it. Like the amount of physical exertion you've had to like understand body mechanics, moving yourself around.
Okay, I give it to you.
I get- yeah.
Economy of motion. I would have went with nurse
I mean, okay, fine. I
because
mean,
it's
nurse
like a
is pretty
health
good.
type thing.
See, I guess, yeah, when I
Yeah.
think nurse, I think like they know everything. I wanted to make it like a little more specific. Nurses are like magical. Like they know like so much stuff
Way
about
cooler
everything.
than doctors.
Well, I I got family in both camps, so like I got to be careful how
Okay.
like what I say here, but
Yeah.
But yeah, like I thought nurse was like super broad, but like military or martial arts guy, like I was like, yeah, he knows Krav, he's kickboxer,
economy of
he's-
movement, ergonomics.
Yeah,
you know,
you're very good
efficiency.
with posture,
Okay,
keeping your
fine.
body neutral, not getting into
I'll
like,
take the intro. Accepted
Yeah.
intro.
like weird
Alright.
hyper extended positions are bad. You know all that stuff.
And So, yeah, don't get me started on that because it won't be about safety anymore. It'll be like how to punch somebody
Welcome
with the
to
right
ergonomics.
knuckles,
These
and
are
so
the
you don't
ergonomics
break
of a
your
punch.
wrist when you punch, and blah blah blah. But okay, anyway, moving on.
Good.
So, what's new with you?
Oh man, so speaking of my bodybuilding and all my nonsense, one big goal I have for 2021. I'm not somebody who like sets goals. Like I just always like or not. Well, I know I set goals. I don't wait for New Year's to set goals.
Right.
If I'm like, this is what I want to do, that's my new goal. But when I hit 2021, somebody asked me like, do you want to do a New Year's resolution? I actually had one like for the first time that I can honestly remember. I was like, yes, I'm going to do more pull-ups. And so I have been. I have been just going crazy. I've been going ham on pull-ups.
That's good.
Like, I mean, every single workout now, it's pert near a warm-up. I'll actually do pull-ups. Even if it's a push day or I'm doing legs, I'm actually still working in several sets of pull-ups.
Why?
I just feel like it's a motion that I'm just not actively pursuing enough.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just just putting in pull-ups like constantly, all the time. How
If-
about you, Aaron?
If OSHA comes when you're doing your pull-ups, can they cite you on improper use of PPE?
I forgot because you watched me work out. No, I'm gonna say no.
He uses like a positioning device and like a pelican clamp from a busted lanyard to clip weights on him to make it heavier.
Yeah, that's
If body weight pull-ups isn't enough, he's got to add some plates on it.
So yeah, I'm doing these pull-ups with a 45-pound plate.
You're
on, and
MacGyvering your pull-ups.
Aaron's over
with
here trying to get me
PPE.
cited. Telling on me.
I mean, you're not working with it, so
I mean, that's
it's-
true.
it's
Yeah,
like
it's
a
not.
break, you know.
Right.
All right. Anyway, I started a new diet.
Yeah?
It's not like an official one. I don't get into fad diets. I think those are just like dumb.
Well,
to be real with you,
I also agree.
because like a diet doesn't work unless you stay on it. So like I treat diets like marriage. You know, like you find that one thing that you could do the rest of your life. You know,
Yep.
so. This one I'm working on now, it's just basically a real food diet. Just
Okay.
no fast food, no processed stuff. Not like all hardcore
you
about
go.
it, but I was eating a lot of processed food, a lot of fast food, and my weight shot up like crazy. So
You were like, hey,
yeah, just real food, you know,
And
good,
that's so,
nutritious,
like-
real food in my body.
easy to get away from you because with that processed food, your calories can be so condensed into such a small, teeny amount.
Right.
And you'll eat something that doesn't feel very filling, and it was like 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
And when you go back to having to make every single meal, it actually gets, I mean,
Kind of on the AJ diet, the chili diet.
I love chili. Don't even get me started on chili.
Yeah,
I
homemade
will
chili.
eat so much chili.
Yeah. So
I do.
I've
I
been
still
doing
I
that.
just ate chili right before I came here today. I had a can of chili and a sandwich. Heck yeah.
So that's new with me. But, you know,
Nice.
today's episode, we're dealing with ergonomics. And when those of you who are instructors out there, if you want to give your students a really mean book exercise, like tell them to find you the ergonomic regulations in your OSHA book.
This was like the hazing we used to do when we would get new employees over at Little Caesars. We'd ask them to
OSHA
go get me
hazing.
something from the basement.
Okay.
I'm gonna have a basement.
And the blinker fluid.
Yeah, you need some of that blinker fluid, elbow grease.
But so yeah, because you're not going to find any, are you?
No,
AJ?
there are no regs on ergonomics.
Now they've tried for years. They've
Wow.
threatened it, but they never could come up with it. I mean, we think OSHA has rules on like how to lift. Like lift with your legs, not with your back. It's an OSHA rule. No, it's not.
All right,
It's not.
it's just not.
Squat down and grab the load instead of bend your back. Keep
Right.
the load close to you. Turn with your feet instead of twist your back. Like all
Right.
them stuff we've heard in every single job we've ever had.
Right.
None of that's actually OSHA.
Well, so they have stuff. They have like ergonomic fact sheets, and they have all these little things that they've put out. But like you said, they all say it right on there. These are like best practices or recommendations.
Right, non-mandatory, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They're guides and helps, and it's all great stuff.
It is. It's good stuff. Don't get hurt.
But you're not going to get a citation from an ergonomic standard because there isn't one.
Not from the ergonomic standard, but Aaron, tell them how they can.
If you receive some type of citation for injuring an employee due to lifting, it will be cited under the General Duty Clause.
General Duty Clause
That's the ace up OSHA's sleeve,
for
by the way.
everything.
So if they don't have a reg
We've
on
talked about it, but
I don't know if we've done it on this podcast. We teach it all the time, but
I could have swore we've at least mentioned it.
well, let's mention it again.
This is a hard mention.
OSHA doesn't need a regulation to cite you. If you're injuring
no need.
employees, they could get you under the general duty clause. It's the catch-all. It's an ace up their sleeve.
It's for everything.
We have fought OSHA many times for our clients, and their citation was on the general duty clause. And ergonomics would be one. So you got a guy, lower lumbar strain, slip disc, rotator cuff injury, repetitive motion injury, cumulative trauma disorder, some type of thing like that. OSHA's involved. OSHA's investigating, and they cite it's most often probably going to be general duty clause.
Oh, yeah. Because there's no standard for them to cite you, but they have an employee that was clearly injured.
At work.
And is clearly work-related.
Doing work stuff.
Yep. And so they're like, well, you're still going to get hit for hurting your employee when you could have done better.
What do you think the number one issue is? Let's just talk about backs for a minute. With hurt backs.
Poor deadlift form.
Okay, so bad technique. I mean, I agree. I have another reason, but I know where you're going. Everybody knows how to lift right, but nobody does it.
So the big lecture that I actually give, if we're being honest about work and not just me joking, is I will tell people to think about carpal tunnel, right? Think about how much weight you have to lift to get, if you're a typist, how much weight do you lift to get that carpal tunnel?
0.
Well, yeah, you move your fingertips from here, you move them about 2 inches up.
Right.
And that's it. And that's the only amount of stress that you got to do to just kind of bend that joint for 8 hours a day for X number of years, and then you'll develop this ergonomic injury. I try to do the same thing for people for their lower back. I'm like, hey, every single time you bend over, you could be giving yourself a teeny tiny bit of trauma. And if you continue to every day go to work around your home, in your garage, bend over improperly, pick stuff up, stand back up improperly, and you give yourself that teeny tiny bit of trauma, you're going to develop what's called cumulative trauma. And over the years, it's just like carpal tunnel. You've done this teeny tiny thing improperly so many times that now after years of misuse, the damage is permanent.
It catches up with you.
Yep.
What people don't realize is, say it's 5 pounds. They think, what's the big deal? It's only 5 pounds.
Only 5 pounds.
I hear that all the time.
Only, yeah.
Hey, man, I really like you
It's a
to
screwdriver.
use proper lifting technique when you got to do that.
It's a few
Why?
ounces.
It's only 5 pounds. But it's not, right? Because you got the weight of, pretty much center of gravity up. So belt line up.
Right. So you're a 200-pound guy.
So what are you belt line up?
110. I'm 220 right now.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. So what'd you say? 110?
Yeah, 110 would be half.
Okay. So, and then plus your 5 pound
pounds.
object.
Yeah.
And if you weren't bending over right, you're using these little dinky muscles in your back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually 15 pounds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what a lot of people don't realize. I think the biggest enemy and the biggest cause of ergonomic injuries is pride.
Admitting that you need help.
Well, it goes all over. So you got all these young guys, and I've seen it, and I try to talk them out of it, and you can't say nothing to them.
Yeah.
But you got these young guys, and they want to prove that they can hang. So there's something 70 pounds, 80 pounds, 100 pounds. And they're like, hey, you new guy, go grab that guy and lift that and bring that over to me.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't need no help. I can hang with you guys. I mean, he's thinking that. And he said, I got to show these guys. So he does, and he gets it done. And I'm watching. I'm like, hey, he said get some help, But it's
right, yeah, he didn't do it.
But I see the struggle and the gritting and the,
Right.
and I just like,
He's gotta
oh
prove
my
himself.
goodness, he's popping something. He's slipping
Could
something.
be.
And he pulls it off, and he's just really proud of himself. But, just keep doing that every day. And, you're not going to be able to, when you eventually have kids, you won't even be able to go home and play with them because you're too sore from work.
You're going to have to lay
these
down.
young guys don't get it,
Baby that injury. Yeah.
It's jacked up. And then the old guys, like the
Still got to be able to hang, man.
The division I'm in, we got to prove we could still do it.
Won't admit that you need help now.
Hey, Aaron, we need to lift that, but why don't you get AJ to help you? I don't need no AJ to lift it. Let me show you how it's done. I can still do it. So I do it myself and hurt myself.
Yeah, I can see both actually happening pretty easily.
Yeah, it's just a super pride thing.
Another trap that people get sucked into is when you get known as that like super tough guy. People just assume and they'll just be like, oh yeah, call him, he can do it. Well, then he'll come over to it and he'll go to move something, and then it'll be like, oh snap, I should have asked for help, but they already think I can do it, so now I'm just gonna do it anyways.
Yeah, it's pride all the way around.
Yeah,
and
it gets rough.
It's a big issue. You said it too. One of those causes was people have too much pride to ask for help.
Yeah, you just need to be able to ask for a little help.
I don't care what job you work at. Everybody rides each other all day.
Pretty much.
You know, from the time you clock in to the time you leave, your coworkers are just ragging on you nonstop. Now, sometimes it's joking, like genuine joking.
Yeah.
It's just a part of the culture. You just mess with each
Right.
other all day long.
Well, some of these guys have it out for each other, like genuinely
Well,
do not
and
like each other.
sometimes it's not nice. Sometimes
right.
it is more,
Yeah.
you know, on the weaponized.
I'm going to say this to you because I really believe it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, snap. That
They're
was
really
one of the worst things I've ever
dissing
heard.
Each other. We've seen fights almost break out in safety training.
I had to get 2 guys out of Sioux Falls off of a job site because they got into it, and they're like good friends. Fist fight
Right.
at work.
Yeah. There's a company we go to once a month and do a class from, and these 2 guys don't normally work together, but since the whole company comes together for safety training, they're in there together, and it's real. They're talking smack. They're like, well, let's do it then. And I'm always sick of it. I'm like, hey, guys, you know I own an MMA dojo, right?
Yeah, let's go do
You
this.
know, it's come Saturday. I got gloves. Bring your own mouthpiece and cup, and just get it over with.
Let's do this.
You know,
I actually had to do that once. I was doing an OSHA 30, and I had these 2 guys who would not shut up and leave each other alone, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I told them it was, if they really wanted to, it's pull-up contest.
right.
Who could ever do more pull-ups than the other guy to say who was finally stronger than the
Yeah.
other guy. And
Yeah.
they went after it. It was actually pretty funny.
But you know, the thing is they're so used to that they don't want to add to it. So if I have to say, hey AJ, can you come help me lift this?
Ooh.
I'm going to be insecure or too prideful
Yeah.
to do that, because you know then the coworkers can be like, oh,
They'll see it.
little baby needs help.
Right.
Do you want me to get my grandma in here to help you? You know, here comes all the stuff, right? And it never ends. You know,
You're mean.
That's-
You get my grandma here. I felt that. I don't like
that's how it goes.
just
And
kidding.
so guys are scared, and so they don't do that. So they got to show they're tough. And you know, and like even if you go and get a dolly or a cart,
Sure.
they're gonna mess with you.
Oh yeah. Anything that.
So it's an American culture thing.
Right.
We gotta like knock that off. Like if you see a dude or a gal and they gotta go lift something heavy and carry it across a plant floor, and they go get a dolly, you know, we just should not mess with them.
Yeah.
Talk trash about their hair.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah. Don't
you
let
know.
somebody physically wreck their body just
Yeah.
so you can make fun of them. That's not
Yeah.
cool.
You know, there's a skid loader. Why don't we load it in that bucket and let that guy drive it over for us?
That would be great.
Oh, but we don't want to ask him. Hey, buddy, I see you're not doing anything right now. Can you carry my tools for me across site?
Right.
You want me to do your job and my job? You know, then here we go. You know, but if we could kind of put an end to all that, and you know, use all these mechanical lifting aids.
So what you're saying is it would be a lot easier if construction workers would be nice to each other?
Yeah, which is probably it's probably not going to happen. So
Not overnight, but maybe
so-
if we work on it.
So what I educate the guys is like, who cares?
Right.
You know they're going to mess with you anyway. At least this way you're controlling what they mess with you on.
Sure.
You know, instead of my choice of shirt that day, it's the fact that I asked for help.
Right.
You know, because at the end of the day, it's about our quality of life and how many people do we know, males in America, that have back problems?
Oh, almost all of them.
Yeah. I got a carpenter buddy, 2 carpenter buddies.
Mm-hmm.
They could barely use their right hand anymore.
Oh, yeah. It'll just get, absolutely
Swinging
destroyed.
that huge carpenter hammers for years and
Mhm.
years and years and years. I mean, their elbow is shot, their wrists are shot. And
This is another tangent, actually, of mine that I go into when I do ergonomics with people. Is I ask, and it's just kind of funny. I tell them not to put their hand up, but I'm like, if I were to ask how many of you in here wear extra large gloves to work, how many would you raise your hand? You know, you hear a couple chuckles and stuff, and I'm like, how many of you in here would admit to being medium? And they all just kind of get quiet. I'm like, guys, like that's a huge part of ergonomics. You got to wear PPE that fits.
right.
And then for women, it starts to become even more of a problem because a company will only buy like one size glove. And these girls have these teeny tiny, petite, small to extra small hands, and they're all wearing like large gloves. So they got like trigger finger and tennis elbow and bad shoulders and blown out wrists because
Just
they've
from
been
improperly
Yeah.
fitted PPE.
squeezing extra hard and pinching extra hard with
Yeah.
these big, ill-fitting gloves, and it causes huge ergonomic problems.
Yeah.
But that's the pride for my guys. I'm like, dude, don't just go in and say, I need those extra large gloves. Like,
Right.
take a good, real, honest look and be like, all right, I need a pair of them
That's
mediums.
pride coming back around.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need a pair of them mediums. Like, wear the right
Right.
size, get your job done.
What do you think about pre-work stretches to reduce ergonomic injuries?
Oh, I'm super on board with pre-work stretches. That's got to be one of my favorite injuries I see in the gym. And of course, you know, when safety people say favorite or fun or other words. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It's usually the opposite. So I apologize if you think this is one of my favorite things. But I'll see people go to work out, and
These are a few of my favorite things.
I also apologize for this.
Ergonomic injuries, because people don't stress.
I thought you were going to say something about blowing out knees. Like, yeah. But
you could
anyways.
have came in and rhymed.
Oh, yeah.
We could have duetted that.
Nope, I'll pass. Hard pass. So I'll see guys like come into the gym and no stretch, and they'll go right over to like a working weight and just lay down on the bench and just start like repping. Or they'll go right over to the leg press machine. They haven't warmed up, nothing, and they'll start pressing like good hard weight. And they can't get most of the way through their workout. They're fatigued halfway through. They don't get much effort in, and then they're like, "Woo, good workout." And I'm like, dude, like you didn't warm up, you didn't stretch out, you didn't like do anything right for your muscles. You caused a bunch of joint pain, and now that you're tired, you're calling it done. Like same thing for when you guys go to work. Like don't go to work and just immediately be able to go in and start hammering at like 100%. You need to do like a stretch or a warm up.
You can't do a warm up rep with light weight at work. So what would you do at work to get blood to your muscles?
So there's a lot of really good stretches, and I would say always whatever you pick to be in that muscle group and pick something that's dynamic. I always tell people before work, don't do static stretches.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't do a stretch where you're like grabbing your arm and yanking it across your body and then holding it and you're like counting to 30. That elongates the muscle, and then when you let it go and that you have all this elastic muscle, when you start trying to like work and contract it and do stuff, you can actually hurt your joints more by doing those types of stretches.
Yeah, it makes you more prone to injury.
So
dynamic before, static after, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you want to be like waving your arms back and forth or doing chest hugs to warm up your shoulders and your chest and your arms and your back. Or if you're like doing legs, do some lunges or do some, full body squats or just something like that to activate those muscles and get them working. But don't do something where you're standing there stretching a muscle and making it long.
I've seen some of our clients that implemented a stretch program and watch their injury rates go down.
Yep, for sure.
And what I see a lot is just total pencil whip stretch programs too.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's really overseeing it. Everyone's standing around talking. It's a big
People get
waste of
shy.
time. Yeah. We need to have lead stretches, somebody in authority in the room making sure everybody's doing it,
Yeah.
If it's going to work for them,
Exactly. You got to have that person who, and know your crew, know your company, but try to ask first, because somebody might like want to do it. Somebody might genuinely jump up and down at the opportunity to be like, yes, I would love to show everybody and do their stretches and tell them all, hey guys, we're going to do jumping jacks, or we're going to do lunges, or we're going to do, squat thrusts or whatever. Like make sure you have that person that's like eager to do it.
So how many times when you're reviewing a company's OSHA logs at the beginning of a new year for the previous year, you see on their lower lumbar strain?
I don't see that one often.
I do.
You do?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they of course, write it hurt back, and then I got to dig into it.
I've seen plenty of hurt back.
Yeah, lower lumbar strain is what it ends up being.
Okay.
How about hurt shoulder?
Now, that one is much more common.
Yeah,
I see hurt shoulder all the time.
Rotator cuff injuries.
At least on the ones I do.
They're just so prevalent in work. And
I got a guy this is his 6th year out from his hurt shoulder. He was lifting something overhead with 2 other people. One of them was on a ladder, and then 2 of them were underneath this thing they were picking up, and they were pushing it up over their head, and he felt, the classic pop and then a burn, and he just kept going because he couldn't just dump the load because there was a guy on a ladder and there was another guy holding it, so he just literally pushed through the pain. And this is his 6th year. I think he's had 3 surgeries.
Man.
It's bad. And he still is like, I think he's at like 85%. Like he doesn't have very good motion. He doesn't have hardly any strength in it. It's bad.
Yeah, cumulative trauma, ergonomic injuries, all of these are bad. Let's go to these cumulative trauma for a minute. We have clients that do repetitive motion, and they have a lot of injuries. And so how do you get away from that? How do you not do the same motion over and over again when that's what it takes?
Well, I mean, you in a perfect world, the person would notice the bad activity and be like, oh, I keep bending over the wrong way. I should make sure that I squat to pick stuff up.
Right.
But we got too much stuff to focus on. You go to work and you're not thinking about every little activity you're doing. You're thinking about the entirety of your job, or even just what you got to do that day.
Some of the traditional fixes for cumulative trauma that to avoid that is job rotation. We have some clients where they just do cumulative trauma, just repetitive motion, and they cannot get away from it. They cannot somehow make a robot that does that. So they just there's only a certain time you could do that position.
That makes sense.
And
I
that
like
helps out a lot.
Well, yeah, putting a fresh person on that activity is going to have a better, ooh, I don't like that. I shouldn't be doing that a whole bunch. I'm going to do that this way.
Let's talk about cool gear that could help us. You ever seen lift tables?
Yeah, lift tables are awesome.
Pneumatic, electronic. You know what I see in the field? People not using them. I mean, not
It's just a regular table.
Yeah, like the pneumatic ones are cool. It's
So
set at
cool.
a certain weight, so when the full pallet goes on, it goes down. It's at working height. As you take off that pallet, it starts going up, so it stays at your working height.
Cool.
That's awesome.
It is.
The electronic ones, no one ever moves them up and down to get it to that perfect height.
Right.
So they're bending down or they're reaching over their head, even when they have the tool.
Right. And it's why would you spend all that money and then just not use it? And then as the employee, like, why would you have every tool at your disposal to not get hurt and then still choose to get hurt?
Yeah, it takes longer to hit that button. You know what I do love, absolutely love?
What?
A good ergonomic, anti-fatigue mat.
Oh, yeah. They kind of take off that lower
the
strain.
good
They make your feet not hurt all day.
Oh, I've been
they're
on
actually
worn
pretty
out
sweet.
ones or terrible ones. It was no different than being
We
on
bought one for
concrete.
our employees 10 years ago, Aaron.
Yeah.
It's been stood on for thousands and thousands of hours. How dare you?
I was on one the other day, and I was like a total safety geek nerd
Yeah?
because I was on one today doing an audit for a company, and it was like, oh.
You just felt it.
And I told another guy, it's like, you got to stand on this. Come over here. They think you're weird.
Yeah.
But I'm like, come stand on this mat.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And he was like, ooh. Nice.
He seemed to get it, but man, I'm telling you that taking that strain off and that all that force off and that pressure off could really go a long way to reducing back pain.
Oh, yeah, back pain. And that's, honestly, if we're being like all the way there, back pain's probably the most prevalent. Shoulders, big ones, really prevalent. Here's one that I like to talk about because I don't think it gets brought up enough, but it is people that will blow out a hip, especially over time, because if you're on your feet all day, people have a tendency to favor one leg.
Okay.
And they'll always shift and hold all their weight on the same side of their body for a long period of time. And I actually have a friend of mine whose father's a teacher, and he would always teach that way. He would stand there and basically stand on one leg.
That's an issue for us.
Yep.
We do need some anti-fatigue mats.
Well, yeah, so he'd stand on one leg. He wouldn't remember to keep his center of gravity over both feet, and he eventually needed a hip replacement before he was even like 60 years old.
People don't realize that just standing in place, like watching a line or being a teacher, that's hard on the body.
Oh, so hard on your body.
I'll complain to friends and family, oh, my back's hurt today. Well, what'd you do? I taught an 8-hour class. You taught all day and you're hurt? Oh, poor baby.
I know. Poor Aaron.
I was like, you stand all day in a certain 3-foot section.
It'll cause fatigue, and then we got to remember, you got to shift your weight. You got to make sure you're staying
good insoles,
center of gravity. Yep, you got to stay right
mats.
between both feet. But yeah, you can.
Sit,
you can
stand, move.
You cause them just like we were talking, that cumulative trauma. You do that for years and years and years, where you only stand on one side of your body. That side's gonna wear out.
Yeah. What other cool techs out there? So pneumatic tables, electronic tables,
and fatigue mats.
Different steps that you could raise. So you have a very small employee working on the line.
Okay.
They could raise it to their height, so they don't have to reach over their head. And then you could adjust it or move it so then the super tall employee's not hunched over.
Yeah, I like those. Those are pretty cool.
Like making the work site, making the fit the body. That's ergonomics.
That is ergonomics.
For
not forcing a bad situation.
All these years, we forced our body to fit the situation, but now we got to fit the situation to fit our body.
Mm-hmm.
Work smarter, not harder, is what everybody says, but that's what ergonomics is.
That's what it is. That's the whole point.
Yeah, how easy can we make this on the body?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to. I like doing ergonomic studies. It creeps people out though.
What you out there just creeping on people, Aaron?
100%. Because I introduce myself. Hey, I'm Aaron. I'm here with IBC. I'm here to do an ergonomic evaluation on your position.
Right.
And so I tell them. But then all I do is basically just stare at them while they work.
I'm here to do your ergonomic. Okay, cool. Are you gonna walk away now?
No, I just stare at you work.
This is me.
And
welcome to your evaluation.
I go look at different angles, and then I try to go away and watch them where they don't know I'm watching them from. And then when they see me, they're extra creeped out. Like I go up on a mezzanine and just stare at them.
Well, a catwalk. Aaron's just up there.
When I'm there, they work how they know they should,
Right.
or how they think they
Well, yeah,
should.
they're under scrutiny, so
and
they're
not
like,
being,
oh,
they're not being real about it.
I'm getting evaluated. I want a
The-
good evaluation.
The first time they ever squatted to pick something up is when I'm staring at them to do an ergonomic evaluation.
The first time they actually used their butt muscle that day.
Yeah, and then so I try to watch them when they don't know I'm watching them.
Okay.
But I'm just looking at them. I'm looking for pushing, pull, force,
Right.
Unnatural postures.
How far do your arms leave
Bent
your body?
wrist, tweaked necks, head turned to the side,
Are you twisting your
elbows
whole
above
body?
shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking for all these unnatural postures and trying to find like each position, like what part of the body is going to be affected if they do that 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week for
Right.
5 years. Like what's going to go out?
How many
on 'em?
times they got to pull something out of this machine?
You
How
know.
many times you can be in that posture?
Let's do the AJ quiz of the podcast.
Why are we always quizzing me? Why am I getting
Well, you
quizzed
could
so
throw a
much?
quiz. You threw a question at me the last one.
That's true.
Yeah,
I think I did, but they're pretty easy questions.
Yeah, well, these ones should be easy-ish
I like
too.
how he says should.
All right, carpet layer.
Okay.
Dude
All right. All right.
who's on his knees, laying carpet. What could be an injury if he has a career in that?
I mean, you got a lot because they've got a lot of little tools that are supposed to help them down there, and honestly, they're not necessarily ergonomic. Like one of the big ones for carpet layers is, of course, to have that little I don't know what it's called, but it helps them push the carpet
That
all
thing
up to
they
the
knee
edge
all the time?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they
So
hit it
give
with
me
their
body
knee.
parts.
Well, yeah. So I mean, your hip, your knee, and then your lower back because you're
Yeah.
twisting to like.
What
Force
posture
all
are
that.
they, what posture are they in?
Oh,
most
they're
of
on
the
their
day?
hands and knees. They're like
Yeah.
bent over.
Yeah. Do they wear knee pads?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I
but
mean-
a lot of guys you can't get them wearing knee pads.
Well, yeah, because they're slipping
I
off.
love
and
a
then
good knee pad. It's like an anti-fatigue.
love a good
I'm
knee
telling you,
pad.
man, I got a gel knee pad.
Aaron's all about.
Dude.
Well, heck yeah.
100%.
Who wants to get injured?
Oh man,
honestly?
we're way over time.
Are we really?
Yeah, we just got excited about knee pads and stuff.
Oh, shit.
We just went over time.
All right, guys. Well, that was it. That was ergonomics. We had way too much fun talking about ergonomics. Aaron, wait, we wrap up right now? This is it? We're done?
Yeah, we're done.
All right.
man,
Well,
so
well, awesome. Thanks for coming. You guys have a great day.
we won't see you next time.